Uh, since
Got
you're
it.
our PR person, I'm told this might help you remember what went on. So why don't we
I'm
start?
assuming, I assume you're talking about the other John and not me, John.
Yeah, the other John. I'm
Okay,
gonna I'm gonna call you John Chesapeake. Okay, John,
sure.
if you don't mind. Um,
No problem.
what the agenda is very simple. It's about all district reads, and I'll just tell you a short story before I introduce you. If you haven't met, I think everybody's met Gary, but I was at the October district conference, and this guy was trying to break in the back door of the hotel with a bunch of books, and he was banging on the door. I went down to open the door. He says, I need help moving all these books from here to there. So two or three of us helped Gary out, and the rest is history. Somehow Gary got his hooks into me, and I'll explain later what's going on the Eastern Shore. But Gary Anderson is one of the finest salesmen I've ever met. So, Gary, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody if they haven't met you and give us a quick overview of all district reads?
Right. Well, let me introduce myself and then we'll go around, everybody introduce myself. Then we'll come back and I'll tell you about all district reads. So we'll get to, so I am the founder of All District Reads. This is my third nonprofit, but I'm a one-year Rotarian. And my other two nonprofits, which I first developed, the first one in 1999, called Read Aloud Virginia. It was about parents reading books to children. And the second one, Read to Them, was too about reading books to children. But this one was formed over COVID-19, over the break. And this one incorporates a community champion. And that was the missing piece of the puzzle. So now the Rotary basically are our community champions. And so that's what you might be, on the verge of being a community champion or have been a community champion. And we want to see how this impacts your Rotary Club. We want it to be a win-win, win for your Rotary Club and win for your community, win for the school system, win for the children. So that's who I am. Let's go to Elizabeth next. Elizabeth won at North Suffolk, at downtown Suffolk, and then Elizabeth two at North Suffolk.
Okay, I'm president of the Rotary Club of Downtown Suffolk. The term is from July through June. And so this was, I remember, Gary, you gave a presentation to our club, I guess about a year and a half ago. And then George Birdsong contacted you, and really he's very active with our board and got us all very interested in pursuing, investing in, I guess, in all Suffolk reads. And so George Birdsong led the effort to raise the $80,000. And our club, along with the North Suffolk Rotary Club, we collaborated and wrote a proposal on the district level and received a matching grant of $5,000 to our club. Each gave $2,500. So it's $10,000 towards that. And then we also, at our Rotary Club meeting back in the fall, and actually last week at our Rotary Club meeting for the spring book, we Patrick Belcher brought in 500 copies of the book. And so actually right before I guess in early part of the meeting, we the members placed the decal into the cover, into the book. And so that's number one. And part of that is to get everyone engaged and to realize that we're participating in this program. Also, getting back to raising the $80,000, several of our members actually contributed towards that $80,000 goal. And then back also in the fall, our group, and I also reached out to the Gentle Women's Club, and we also reached out to Suffolk Business Women's Club, and along with the North Suffolk Rotary, we met at the Suffolk Public School Operations Center one morning and inserted decals into 6,000 books. And then several members a few weeks later then helped distribute them at the schools. And so we're repeating that again this year. And as I stated last week, we inserted the decal for 500. On March 1, we're going to be inserting the decal into the balance of the 6,000 books. And I believe it's March 8th is when the books will be distributed to the school. Also, as part of the program, in the fall, several of our Rotarians participated in the reading of the chapter of the book. And so that was filmed at Lakeland High School here in Suffolk. And so I understand that during the spring semester, it's not a video recording, just a voice recording. And so we have 4 of our members who will be participating in that phase. And no, it's right now it's early. Gary, you had asked, what are our members talking about this? It's early.
Let's let people introduce themselves, and then we'll
okay,
talk
go
about
ahead. Gotcha.
Let's
Okay.
just go through. John.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was giving you too many
I know.
details now. Now I don't have to talk again because I
Yes,
gave
you
all
do.
my
You have to do.
information.
You have to tell about
Okay,
the
good.
impact. The
Thank
impact.
you.
That's what we really want to hear. John, introduce yourself.
Well, you said you do Elizabeth next.
Okay.
too.
Okay. Well, I get confused.
That's 2 of us.
So Judy, you can see my new last name.
Yes.
Jeff and I got married, so change it in your phone. Some of you might have known me as Elizabeth Hopkins, so I'm now Elizabeth Brooks. I was president last year of North Suffolk Rotary, so I helped with the grant, getting the grant in process so that we could partner with the Suffolk Rotary and get this implemented. I was one of the people that did do an audio of one of the chapters, and we've also participated in the stickering and distributing of the book. So that's me.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Judy, introduce yourself.
I am Judy Con. I am in the Cape Henry Club in Virginia Beach. Some people get it confused with your club, Bill, because they're both Capes, right? But we're not on the Eastern Shore, but Bill is. I'm a past district governor, and I have been co-advisor for the Alumni Association for Rotary District 7600. And I met Gary at the district conference and helped out, went to the breakout, and then helped with putting the stickers in the books. And so, as you said earlier, he gets you and holds on to you.
John Chesapeake.
Yeah, I'm just John Berry from the Chesapeake Rotary Club. We've been looking at bringing this down into Chesapeake. I'm not a past anything. I'm just sort of here, and I was interested in the program, so I thought I'd try and bring it alive down in Chesapeake.
Dr. Bob, come on. And if you haven't introduced yourself, just quickly.
Bob, I'm Bob Brewer. I'm the past president of the Churchland Rotary Club. I have been in the Downtown Suffolk Club as well for a number of years, and we have not fully been introduced to the all district reads in our club. Gary has been a friend and has got me interested in the program, and we're waiting to hear how this is going to work. So he's giving a talk to our club next month, I think, and we're waiting to see what Chesapeake School Board and what Portsmouth School Board is going to do about this. So we're in the kind of wait and see program, I guess. I'm certainly interested in literacy and what we can do. So that's where I stand. But
John Miklas.
Good afternoon. I'm John Miklas. I'm based in Delaware. I am a former longtime education editor for the International Reading Association. I edited Reading Today, our membership newspaper, and that's how Gary and I met. Actually, we met at a conference in DC when he was just kind of starting out the Read to Them program. And he sent me articles about the program, which I ran in Reading Today, which helped the program kind of move to a national level. And so when Gary started All District Reads, he reached out to me to help with some promotion work. I'm now kind of semi-retired. I work do editorial consulting, and I'm a children's book author. And having been affiliated with Gary and his fine work for 20 years, I was happy to come aboard and see what I could do to help publicize things. I guess one of our goals is to see if we can get an article in at some point into the international Rotary magazine about this.
Okay. Do you want me to speak now, Bill?
You're in charge, Gary.
No, you're in charge. Bill's in charge. He ran this. So I'll just give you a short review because some of you haven't heard me and some of you have. So I am the poster child for a slow learner. If you see a slow learner poster, there's my face.
Hey, Gary, stop for a minute because we're bringing, who are we bringing on here?
Wells, Jeff Wells from.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey, Jeff.
So
How are you guys?
Why don't we let Jeff introduce himself and then you can give us the overview.
Okay.
How much did I miss?
You missed introductions, but we're not important people. You're the most important person on this call, Jeff.
Hardly. I'm Jeff Wells, president-elect for the Norfolk Rotary Club, and we're just finishing up our meeting. Sorry, I had to run over and take care of some caregiving duties, and I'm back in the car, so you have my attention.
I really appreciate this short notice dropping in on us. So Gary, why don't you share with us the story?
Okay. So like I said, I'm the poster child for a slow learner. I went as a young boy, I went to elementary school, and then I got a couple of degrees, and then they sent me back to elementary school for 35 more years.
It's an educator, I'm sure.
35 years. I was playing kickball out on the playground and going to the library, and I was a school psychologist for those 35 years, and I've worked with thousands of young children in elementary school, particularly those children that hit a wall, that don't do well. And so I'll tell you one quick story. In the 90s, I was a psychologist. In the 70s and 80s and 90s, I was very frustrated because there were too many children falling through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
So I almost remember I was working in Hanover at my desk, and I needed to do something different. To explain this, I'll tell a real quick story. There were two men sitting on the river, and here comes the child being carried downstream. They jump in, they rescue the child. They get back to shore, and about the same time, here comes two more children being swept downstream. They jump in, rescue these two children, and then they look, and here comes 8 children being swept downstream. One of them turns around to go back out and rescue, and the other one turns and starts running upstream. Where are you going? Where are you going? I'm going upstream to wrestle the strong man that's throwing these children in the water, in the river. And that's what I did. I turned around and went upstream and tried to find a prevention method in the early 90s. And then in 1995, the Hart-Risley study came out, and it said that children raised in poverty listen to, before they get to school, 12 million words. And children raised in our homes listen to 42 million words. I can remember reading that, and finally it made sense, because the vast majority of the children referred to me were raised in poverty. And that's why they weren't successful. So the strong man that was throwing the children in the river and swept downstream was language in the home. The language in the home was not going on. So now we knew what the problem was, and then we found out through the Read Aloud Handbook that if you read books aloud in the home, that children soak it up like a sponge. They love it. They keep saying, read the next chapter. So now, 30 years later, we're at this junction. Suffolk is doing this program with 7,500 children and their families. Norfolk has signed up to do this program in the fall with 15,000 children and their families. And as Virginia Beach with 33,000 students and their families, and Northampton with 800 children and their families. So we'll have 4, but they're all have community champions of the Rotary Club, with the exception of there's another group in Virginia Beach that's going to help out, or that's going to kind of lead it, called the Noblemen. So this is very exciting for me. This is like professionally 35 years, 40 years in elementary school. And this makes such a difference because it starts a literacy fire in the children's home. I can tell you a lot about that, but we have 2 now, North Suffolk and downtown, that have done 1 book. It usually takes 2 years and 4 books to see the real impact on the homes. It's not an overnight cure, but it is a solution. I can guarantee you, it's a solution once you start experience the people you love most in life or your family. And if you sit around and you read aloud or use this thing as your literacy fire and just hit a button there and you listen to the audio version and hold the book in your hand, it changes children's lives, the trajectory of their lives. So now I would like to hear from the 2 Elizabeths about how it's impacted your Rotary Club. And is there a sense, now this is just starting. They've only done 1 book. I don't know if you got a chance on our website, there's mp4, and he's been doing it for 6 years in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's impacted his community. It's changed his school system. I don't want to be overly, so one of the Elizabeths step up and talk about it. So put you on the spot. Thank you all for joining us, and particularly thank Bill for arranging this.
Well, I'll go first. I read one of the chapters, we got audio videotaped, and I read one of the chapters, have the book here and practiced it. And being a former teacher, I was more than happy to do that. I also went into one of the schools to help with the distribution, and the superintendent, it was the launch day, the superintendent was there prior. He was going around to the different schools, visiting everybody. And he left the school that I was at, Creekside, and went somewhere else. And some of the second graders that came in after were so upset that they missed the superintendent. They knew his name, they knew what he looked like, they're looking around for him, and they were so upset because they were so excited about getting their books. So that showed me a really good link with this book and this reading with their superintendent, and building that camaraderie and that acknowledgement that mp4 from Little Rock talked about, being recognized at Walmart by the kids from reading the books, and the real community sense that it got. The teachers did a great job decorating the resource room. They came in class one at a time. I was there for almost 4 hours. My mom lived in the same neighborhood, went home for lunch, came back, and was happy to stay. They had enough staff on there, but I did definitely help the staff out because they were giving props. It was the book had to do with money and business, and they had the money eyeglasses and all kinds of props for the kids to take pictures. I got a few pictures with them as well, and just that whole sense of camaraderie there at the school. And then it's an easy service project for our club. It really is. It's a easy grant description to work to get a district grant to work together with another club. But stickering the books and just getting everybody together for an easy project, makes it really easy for those that can't lift anything heavy or drive too far, or needs a lot of coordinating. We're not trying to clean up the street where we got to work with police and get red vests on and this sort of thing. So it's just a really easy project to implement. And then you have people that are very animated in the clubs that are willing to get on audio. I'm not that animated. I'm a teacher. I know how to do the inflection, but it's really excited to see somebody that's talented to get behind the microphone as well. So that's been our experience with the first book.
Right.
And
Now,
I'll
the
follow
superintendent
Elizabeth.
mostly does a recording for the first chapter and sends it out to all the schools, and he becomes known as the book man. That's why those children wanted to see the book man, because they all watched him. All 7,500 of them at all the schools watched him and were given a book after and then they followed along as he read the first chapter. So they didn't want to miss him. They didn't want to miss the book man who gave him the book. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay. This is Elizabeth Tarosky Fisher now. Our club, one of the reasons we had the book, we promoted the All Suffolk Reads program several times at our weekly club meetings. And then by having all the members that attended that meeting, one of the meetings actually to insert the decal during a regular weekly meeting was very important, because it increased the awareness. So many people are aware that Rotarians, we do so much in the community, but not everyone goes out into the community as Elizabeth Brooks did. And so it was a way to get everyone, at least to increase the awareness of this program. As far as the impact to our club, there are several members that, as I stated earlier, that participated in actually making a financial contribution, and then also participating in the recording of a chapter. And then several also participated in the placing a decal in the 6,000 books. And what was nice about this also is that I also, and so do several of our other members, belong to other organizations. So we reached out to Gentle Women's Club, and they had several members participate in this, at least in inserting the decal. And then we also reached out to Suffolk Business Women's Club and their members. So it's a collaboration, which is really one of the main themes behind Rotary on an international level. And so it helps us to fulfill that initiative, and also addressing literacy. And right now, I know the impact on our members is that we're very interested to learn more about the how this is impacting the students as far as their literacy skills. And I know it's too early to say, you just can't introduce one book, but it really needs to occur over a 2-year period. And I know that All Suffolk Reads is a 2-year commitment, and so we'll learn more. And so just after one book, it's too early to say. We're very interested to learn more how the students are, how the reading is there an impact on the reading, and how is it helping them read? And also, I know that there was a survey with that was, and Gary, you know more about this. Patrick just told me briefly about it. There was a survey that parents could give their response as to what they thought of the program. And I know that the participation rate was not as high as expected, but I think that was just due to the timing of the survey. So, and we're looking forward to the spring. I'm looking forward to next year also.
Well, I would like to address that survey for a minute. Like I say, this is a third nonprofit, and I've been doing this basically same thing. John Miklas, he sent out this articles to 80,000 members of Reading Today. So we have the second nonprofit is in. I had Watertown, New York, and they called me, and this is 10 years ago, and said they were having, their reading level was terrible, and they had a lot of drugs in their community, a lot of problems in the urban area, and they had heard about this program. So I said, well, let's do this. I said, it does. It works. It works because you're addressing the real issue. It's a lack of language in the home. It's not low reading scores. Low reading scores are just a symptom of the problem. They're not the issue that's creating it. It's a lack of language in the home. And so they started this program and they gave a survey. It only had 5 questions to all the parents. They had 5 elementary schools or 6, or I don't know. And so, and the answer for the first year, the first survey, we do a pre-survey, was only 8% of their parents said their children read all the time or daily for pleasure or for color or for something other than school. There was a difference between, but we're readers. After 3 years, it took 3 years, 6 books. We did the same survey. 57% of the parents said, my son or daughter reads all the time. Isn't that correct, John?
I forget the exact figures, but that does sound right. I know it was dramatic, exceedingly dramatic.
John wrote it up and we published it nationally. He published it probably in Reading Today. And so, but this is the first time, and I am over the moon that the Rotary Club is beneficial to all concerned. Absolutely. Everyone benefits from it. They get off the computer, they get off their telephone, they get in the living room where they never go. And they sit and they start listening to books. I'll tell you one story and then we'll ask more. So I had this mother, I talked with her. I said, how do you like the program? She said, my son brought home this book. He's a 3rd grader. And he said, Mom, you got to read it. So I'm a single parent, but I can read. So I said, okay, I'll read it. And so she sat down with her son. Her daughter lives with her and she has a 4-year-old daughter, granddaughter. Anyway, they came in the room, they started listening. So she said, here I am, night after night, I'm reading to my son, I'm reading aloud, we're laughing, we're having a good time. And my 4-year-old, I couldn't believe it. My 4-year-old granddaughter, she started getting into it and asking questions. But she said, I looked down my hall and there was my son who's in 10th grade. He hates school. All he talks about is dropping out. He wants to drop out. And I looked and his head was sticking around the corner. So she waved me down. So I waved him down and now he sits there every night. She said, I don't know who thought about this, but it's changed our lives. I have my family back, she cried. We've heard so many stories like that because families start, because everybody's doing it. The janitor gets a copy of the book, the bus drivers, the teachers, the policemen, everybody you can think of, gets a copy of the book and the schedule, and they read it together.
Gary,
John
I
Nicholas,
want to also say that teachers, when I was in the, resource room handing out the books, the teachers said it's important that they know it's their book and that they can write in it. If they had a pencil in their hand and they were waiting to get a picture, I was getting them to write their names right then and there. But it was, the excitement that this is my book. I mean, the kids were so, really, this is my book. So if you're going into the schools to distribute, make sure you're letting the kids know that it's their book, to write their names on it. And you'll see the excitement right away.
Especially for children from lower income families, this may be the only book they've ever. And so it's starting to build personal libraries in addition to all the other benefits.
Right.
These are books that the kids will go back to and read and reread.
Gary, isn't an important part of this program the giving rewards in the school for the people that read? They get a little treat from, come to the office and get a treat.
Right. So every morning the principal gets on, they've read, let's say, chapter 6 at home that night. And then the next day, there's a trivia question on the PA. The principal says, and what stick did Billy throw at that fox? You know, what did he throw at that fox? And all the children on their answers write, you know, a stick, or some of them might write a ball. I don't care. So they send them all up to the principal's office. And then that during the day, they pick a winner from kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade, one name. And it really doesn't have to be right, because we focus on participation, you know, and then they say the winners for the day are, at the end of the day, they call those 6 students up and they give them a coupon for an ice cream the next day. This goes on for a whole month. I had a principal in Elizabeth City tell me, it's amazing, Gary. It's like all the children come and they're sitting in their seats at 8 a.m. because they can't get their name in for the to win the prize for the day unless they're in their seats, because many of the children in our area, you know, are in walking distance to the school. So parents might wake up at 10 o'clock and bring them at 10 o'clock, but not when we're doing a book. It's like it's a field day or something. All of them are in their chairs. They want to win that prize that day. So these trivia questions go on for a whole month. Again, it's the same book. We get 10,000 copies. We just ordered 20,000 copies of L. Ray Jakes' Magic, which 7,500 of them are going to go to Suffolk. See, Bill's got his copy. And then Virginia Beach is going to do 5,000 copies with their 5th graders. See, we're all doing this book. And so it opens up communication between the students. Peer pressure is positive. I can talk a lot of time about this. I love the fact that Rotary clubs are seeing this. And I know that Mary Haddad has joined the Rotary Club in downtown Suffolk, I think because of this program. So we hope to see, because of the visibility in the community, a real increase in membership in Rotary clubs, because these are the stickers that we send out. We put them in the books, and Rotary Club is right at the top. So 7,500 of these will go in all the books in Suffolk and Northampton.
One of the things I use for Rotary to advertise, I use Nextdoor. Are you all familiar with the Nextdoor app?
Yes.
Yeah. So Nextdoor, you can't get on Nextdoor. It's a social media platform. You can't get on there unless you live in that neighborhood. So you have to either have to have a landline so they can verify that's local number and they'll automated call, or they'll send you something in your mail for a code to get on Nextdoor. When you get on there, it's your neighborhood and your surrounding neighborhoods. So I use that to advertise to Rotary, because people on Facebook know me. I know them, right? And they are all over. But Nextdoor is right there. So that's where I put advertising for a chili cook-off or a speaker or whatever. And so I've taken the picture of our last book, the outside cover and the inside cover, and say, how many of you have seen this book or noticed the sticker inside? That's my Rotary Club that put that sticker in the book. So just another way to tell people what you're doing, and you know, maybe drive a visitor to come to your chapter at the same time.
Sounds great. Any questions? Any more questions? I can talk about this a long time. You know, next fall, we're going to have all of Virginia Beach, 33,000, all of Norfolk, 14,000 students and their families. There's always 3 people in the room. This is a read aloud program. There's almost always 3 people in the room. So if you have 14,000 students in Norfolk, you really have close to how many? 14 times 3, 52,000, is it? 52,000 citizens that are participating in the program. And then if you get it out into the community and the Rotary Club and the police department and all, we had one story where a policeman in Hampton pulled up to a bunch of kids and they looked like they were a little mischievous, and one of them saw the book on his front seat, because we gave one and they had a discussion about the book. Those are powerful meetings, because it's not just, it's a real meeting, real connection.
Gary, I suggest that we begin to wrap up. This is a tremendous vehicle for selling. I'm glad we've recorded it because we have some great testimonials here, and maybe we can articulate our next significant step or 2 steps from here in your judgment.
Sounds great to me. I'll be quiet.
Well, Judy, quickly, what's going on in your club?
Well, Gary spoke at our club. At the time that he spoke, they were really, Virginia Beach is huge, the school system. And so it was a lot more money that needed to be raised. So we were concerned about raising the money. And I think he's gotten other people to help. I think the Virginia Beach clubs will be willing to be volunteers, but it would be very hard for us as the clubs to raise all the money that was required for Virginia Beach.
Right. And we don't put pressure on the clubs to raise the money, $2,500 like you did in North Suffolk. That's kind of the max. And we find funders, as it turns out, in Suffolk, George Birdsong, who's head of Birdsong Peanuts, ended up being one of our main funders. But we find funders outside of Rotary that supply most of the money. So Rotary, as being our community champion, putting the stickers on, distributing the books, and it is beneficial for all concerned. Everybody loves the program. The children drive it. So there's 4 pieces of the puzzle, and it's not to turn to the Rotary Club and ask you to fund it, because I'm a member. Churchland and Bob and I wouldn't like that at all.
But Gary, what you have here is a snowball on the top of a snowy hill, and this thing is building momentum, and it's going to get larger and larger, and more people will hear about it. It's going to take off, and there are a lot of folks in the communities that can help us do that outside of Rotary. I'd like to, as we close, share with you why I'm so excited. Next week, we're going to have our labeling or decal party. We're going to have that party along with the Northampton County Education Foundation, which is joined in on this. I think Rotarians are good at seeking out partners, YMCA, people who are just as enthusiastic as we are. So we're going to do that. And I think we ought to get back together maybe in a month and share our stories or our progress or whenever it makes sense. But meanwhile, let's just go out there and sell. And Gary, we thank you again for introducing us to probably the best program I've ever seen. My club is all about education and economic development. They go hand in hand, and this is perfect for us. So let's go around the room real quick. Does anybody have anything to say? Wow.
Gary,
And you
Gary,
call yourself Rotarians?
Question for Gary. For Portsmouth and Chesapeake, do you have any information on them?
Well, John Chesapeake can share about, they came to a presentation at Virginia Beach, and then he's gone back to his board of directors.
Okay, so we're waiting on Chesapeake.
How did it go with the board of directors, John?
You're on mute, John.
Is he driving?
No.
No, I am not driving.
Oh, okay.
So as you know, Gary, the board of directors signed off on it, but that was fine. And Gary, we had a meeting, a phone call with a point of contact. I think it was a director of education at the Chesapeake schools. And we gave her the pitch, and now the ball's in her court. So unfortunately, it's been cricket since that meeting. And I poked her once, and I'll probably poke her again sometime this week and see see where they're at, but she was supposed to start running it up their flagpole for Chesapeake.
Okay.
Well, along those lines, Bert Smith, who is the CEO for WHRO, he has joined our board, and he's going to contact your superintendent. So we'll loop around, and Bert and we're meeting with the superintendent in Portsmouth next week. So Bert and he wants to do this with all the superintendents. He is over the moon about the program. He just is real excited about it. He can't raise funds because he does that for WHRO, but he will get school systems on. So we'll get back to you, John, after we meet or before we meet.
Okay.
And so there, it is kind of a juggling act because you have to get the funders, you have to get the community champion, you have to get the enthusiastic school system. And Norfolk just signed on 2 weeks ago. That's why it's great that Jeff is here. They just signed on for the next 2 years to do this program. That's all their elementary schools and all their elementary students system-wide. And so
who in Norfolk signed on?
Kelly Cito and Dr. Was it Brooke? I'd right this second, the name slips by me, but Jeff, I will get back to you and tell you, but it's not Dr. Birdsong.
Yeah, email me after this Zoom call. I'm jumping into another meeting, but
Okay.
I definitely want to talk to this afternoon so we can figure out how we start this up in the probably in the fall, because I think we might have missed this opportunity. Our club but obviously the school system's on board already.
Yes. I'll get back with you. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, I think we've probably covered everything. If anything comes up afterwards, you think of something, just get back to Gary or to me, and we'll make sure we have an answer for you. But again, I thank you for taking 45 minutes out of your busy day, and we will be in touch.
Okay,
Take care
great.
now.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.